Welcome back to Lesson 10, the reference interview in the scaling up hiring process. Look, you've been through the screening interview, you've been through the who interview, you've been through the focused interview. If a candidate has made it to this point, I'm going to guess you're excited, you feel the fit, there's a bond, there's a belief in what this person can do for you. And as a result, it's tempting to want to skip this step. I want to caution you not to skip this step. When I go back and debrief clients that have made bad hires and ask, did you do the reference interview? So many times I get a shrug and say, well, we didn't really do it. Or we started to do it, but then it just seemed like we had already talked to them enough and we just all felt so strongly we went forward. The reference interview is the ultimate risk mitigation strategy. So here's some keys. Number one, pick the right references. In other words, you are in control. You pick the references. Number two, ask the candidate to set up the calls. And number three, conduct the right number. More is always better. If they're an A player, they're going to have no problem getting interviews, reference interviews for you with key people that they've worked for. If they're not an A player, this may be tough. So that becomes one of the red flags to look out for. The questions are simple. Again, take these and make them your own, but there's some science in these questions. Number one, what context, when you get the person on the phone that you're conducting the reference check with, this is the prior boss or person that's serving as a reference, what context did you work with this person? This is kind of an icebreaker, memory jogger, if you will, gets the person reassociating with the candidate that you're hiring. What were the person's biggest strengths? What were the person's biggest areas of improvement at that time? How would you rate their performance in the job on a scale of 1 to 10? And what about their performance causes you to give them that rating? So if they did really well, what was it that caused you to give them that rating? If they rated them low, what was it about their performance that caused a low rating? And then the person mentioned that they struggled with fill in the blank from your interviews. Can you tell me more about that? So again, we're probing, we're listening, we're looking for the question behind the question, the story behind the story. Who really is this person that we're interviewing, that we're about ready to make an offer for? Some red flags as you make your way through this process. Number one, candidate does not explain past failures, right? Can't really explain why they left that job or can't explain why they didn't get the result in a particular situation. Candidate exaggerates. Candidate takes credit for the work of others. Candidate speaks poorly of past bosses. Big red flag. Candidate cannot explain job moves. For managerial hires, have they ever hired or fired somebody? Candidate seems more interested in compensation rather than doing the job. Candidate tries too hard to look like an expert. And then my favorite is they're self-absorbed. You can usually spot this right off the bat, because they speak in terms of I, me, my. Everything's I, me, my. I did this, I did that, me did that, my team, my group. Very rarely do they use the words we. Very rarely do they include peers or others above them in sharing in the success. So these are red flags. That really wraps up the interviewing piece of it. We're going to come back for lesson 11 and we're going to talk about selling the candidate. Now, we've got this candidate, we've invested all this time. The worst thing is to make an offer and have them turn it down. So I'll see you back here for lesson 11 and we're going to talk about selling the candidate.